This month I propose you a very fun exercise that you can use to practice your water to paint ratio, and that you can use also to make cute postcards or birthday cards, etc. And there are several variants. I will start with one of them. I have here my cup of clean water, dirty water. I have my watercolor sketchbook. You can do this in a separate piece of paper. I will show you in the second video. And I got a brush. This is a 12 size brush. It doesn't matter, the number doesn't matter. I just took a bigger one because we will make big shapes here. If you have a small one, you can also do it with a small one, but I recommend you a bigger one if you have. So I have here my palette, my watercolor palette as well, and what I will ask you first is to select 3 to 4 colors from your palette. You don't need to mix them. You can take them just out of the tube. And I'm taking, for example, this lilac. I will paint it here. Oops, too much water. This blue. This is a magenta from Schminke. So mainly we just created a color palette. A color palette is a set of limited colors that we will use in a painting. And they are recommended, so color palettes are recommended to be limited because everything you paint with them will remain relatable to each other, which means if you mix colors here in this palette, everything will be harmonious. But in this exercise, this is not that important. I just wanted to mention it just in case. But what we are going to do is we are going to choose a shape. For example, I will choose circles for this exercise, and I will start painting circles on the paper with more or less water, with the 3 different colors I have here. For example, I will paint this one, and then I will also paint a smaller one. I will let them blend. I will touch slightly on this circle with my pink. I will let them bleed. I will let the color pass from one to another. For example, using less water. I can do the same here, but with much less water, and see what happens. If you don't like circles, you can use triangles, you can use squares, you can use stripes, but the idea here is to see how water flows and how I can make different consistency of the paint. For example, this here is the blue paint, but really diluted. And you can also, as you see here, make them not touched yet. Or just touch a little bit here. This is really an exercise to relax and to calm down, and it's very fun to see the colors flow. You can also use just water and see how this one blends in. I will start filling the page with more oval shapes. You don't need to use only circles. You can also mix, for example, your pink with your blue and paint using this color. It's really just making shapes, letting them be, letting them bleed with each other. So yeah, you get the hang of it. You can also play with the time, which means, for example, I will leave this circle, well, circle, it's not really a circle, but I will leave this circle to dry because I want to layer on top of it later. So I will not touch it again. And you saw here I have a small accident. So what you can do here if you are painting something and you don't want this is take a lot of water in your brush and brush it before it dries. How much this will work depends a lot on the paper as well, so don't worry if it doesn't work on your paper, and then you will dab it. You see here I waited for too long for the paper to dry, and that's why it didn't work that much. You can see it's lighter, but it doesn't matter for me. I don't care because I will put a big blue circle on top and then we will not be able to see it anymore. So yeah, just continue the patterns and mix colors on your palette if you want. So you make different, slightly different shades. I think this one is, nope. I was checking if this one was dry. Another thing you can do here is to have one of the circles be there and then drop color inside or just water to see how it behaves. And isn't it amazing the amount of blooms and the amount of, I don't know, textures we can get with watercolors? This is one of the most frustrating and satisfying things at the same time from watercolors. I think this one is, nope. I was checking if this one was dry. Another thing you can do here is to have one of the circles be there and then drop color inside or just water to see how it behaves. And isn't it amazing the amount of blooms and the amount of textures we can get with watercolors? This is one of the most frustrating and satisfying things at the same time from watercolors. Like this happen all the time, even when you don't want to. And yeah, there are ways to control them more, and that's what we're trying to do here, using less and more water, touching just a little bit or not. But yeah, this effect, this blooming effect, is great when we want to have, for example, a line that is not a straight line. We don't want it to be that harsh, you know. We can use this method as well. So this one has been drying for a long time. That's why I'm trying to do, okay, let's see how it blooms, how they blend when this one has been drying for a long time, and I add on top of this the water, the purple circle. Don't forget to also play with very, very diluted versions of your circles, because that's so fun. You see how just by touching a little bit with a wet brush, the other circle, it comes here automatically. So here's the first exercise. Here's the result when it dries. You can also make a card with this pattern, for example.